Chat. I don't know what happened.
I don't know. I don't know. I've never had it.
Oh, there it is.
I don't want this. I want to go away from this. I don't want to go back into Zoom.
There you go. And maybe we can ask people on the Zoom call, since I don't know if they can hear us. Just in the microphone.
Can anyone on the Zoom call, can everybody on the Zoom call hear us?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So if you can't hear, then turn it up a little bit more. I just noticed when you're in here this morning.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
okay.
I'm calling you for anything.
Oh, did I tell you I'm going home now?
No.
Don't talk like that. That's not nice.
Do it, do it.
And it scares me a little. Well, then I'm going to be like this.
You'd be looking at the wrong person for that deal.
That's why we don't want him to go home.
That's why you can tell my 19-year-old daughter, you'd be better than me.
Well, here's your instructions. If she does that, walk out of there. Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's really not kind, either of you. Because I wouldn't do that for you. I'd try to help. Lori would help me.
Sorry.
I would help you.
Sorry for getting you in
See?
trouble.
Look, do what? I love that. Just the fact that you would be willing to.
Married man.
I'm really capable.
Okay.
Yeah. It's it. It's a true story. Mr. Johnson. It's official, they posted it on Facebook.
I turned both of them off. Are you proud of me?
I was just helping.
Thank you for, I know, I'm saying thank you for reminding me.
There was me, I helped you today, there was me.
I don't see Rosemary up there
Phone
yet.
off today. Phone off.
I don't bring it in those courthouse, I know better than that.
There she is.
Definitely be my mother.
It would definitely be your mother.
Mom.
She called me so long. The older she gets, the more calls I get.
Please rise. Superior Court for the state of Washington is now in session. The Honorable Christine Scheller presiding. Please be seated. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to the 157th graduation of the Thurston County DUI Drug Court. I am currently the drug court judge. I'm Chris Schaller, and I'm really pleased to be here today to celebrate with everyone. The history of drug court, as I indicated, this is the 157th graduation ceremony. We have people participating today in the courtroom. We have people who are present by Zoom that you can see up here on the monitor, and we are live streaming this as well. Drug court has had 179 total graduates, with 85 coming from our DUI court, drug court program, and 705 drug court. So in reflecting today about graduation, I've been thinking about a lot of different things like I always do. This is the 4th month in a row that we have had a graduation, and that is pretty exciting in and of itself. December is a regular month to some people, no different than others. It is often for others a festive, joyous, and hopeful time of year. It can also be a really difficult time of year for people. Some people can have no celebrations, while others are celebrating, such as Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Omasoka, Yule, and Christmas, to name a few. When I was thinking about December, doing a little research, there are also some other celebrations and observances throughout the month, some very important and some rather random, and I'm going to share a few. You may not know that December 1st is Eat a Red Apple Day. December 4th is Wear Brown Shoes Day. December 7th, of course, all of you should know, is Pearl Harbor Day, which is remembrance of the devastating attack on Pearl Harbor, December 7, 1941, a day which will live in infamy. Just as important is December 10th, which is Human Rights Day. A favorite of kids is December 13th, National Ice Cream Day. Today is National Maple Syrup Day, for those of you who did not know that. And December 30th is Bacon Day and International Bacon Day. So, as I've indicated, we have some really important days in December, and then some which are not necessarily as important, but I shared a couple with you anyways. But we know that today, December 17th, is a really important day. It is an important day for our 3 graduates. And we want our graduates to know that we are joyously celebrating your graduation today, and we are all filled with hope about what you are going to do as you leave the program and move on with your life. And so with that, let's just give a shout out to our graduates, Michael Cabe, Brandon Hokrine, and Keith Luca. I often look when I'm preparing for graduation to see if graduates have anything in common. 2 of our graduates are CDP graduates. 2 had their driver's licenses reinstated while in the program. 1 person had no sanctions. 1 person had 1 sanction, and 1 person had 12 sanctions. They're all employed, of course. 2 participants have children and are actively working on reuniting with their children, and each has successfully dealt with the challenges of this program and life to be here graduating today. Our team is so proud of the 3 of you, and we are so excited for your future. I've said this at the last, I don't know how many graduations this year specifically, to challenge you to make sure that every single month in the next year that you contact the program, you tell us how you're doing, come by, drop a note, whatever it might be, because we want to know what you are doing and we want to continue to support you as you move forward. Along those lines, I do want to give a big drug court shout out to some of our past graduates who in fact have been in contact with our program over the last couple of months, checking in, coming in, meeting with the counselor, just saying hi. Robert Saloma, Christy Blakely, Mindy Bowman, Terry Cochran, Angie Scott, Tukai Malou, Star Johnson, Tim Morgan, Robert Jackson, Megan Potter Buchanan, Gus Buchanan, Kevin Moore, Philip Johns, Ed Farron, Roy Bishop, Robin Barker, Ron Radford, Danielle Lane, who was just here, I believe yesterday, reading a poem to someone who was moving phases, Desiree McLeod, Lachlan Garcia, Chris Tinnerstedt, Andre Charles, Sarah Yanez, Molly Eccles, Matthew McKenna, Stacy Robinson, Tyler Dahlstrom, and Oli Johnson. I just want to give a shout out to them, and we're glad that they are doing well. And lastly, before I get to introductions, I found out something today that was just really amazing and I think very hope-filled, and talks a lot about our program. Well, it talks a lot about the people who are in our program. We had some graduates, I don't know who, but a group of graduates who wanted to do something for our current participants so that they could help offer our current participants hope and strength with all that is going on. And that group of graduates gave the program 9 $50 gift certificates to give to current participants as that sign of hope and strength. And our graduates giving back to the current people in the program. And the people who received those gift cards, it was done randomly through a drawing. But that was such a beautiful and generous thing that our graduates did, and just a great way to keep giving back to our community. And I just wanted to recognize that today. So now it is time for me to do introductions, and I'm going to start with introducing our program manager, Sabrina Craig. either present by Zoom or on the live stream is our program coordinator, Kim Robbins. For the prosecuting attorney's office in the courtroom, we have Mr. Abid, and on the live stream, we have Ms. Hewitson. I said she was on the live stream, she's actually on Zoom. And then for defense, we have Mr. Gearhart in the courtroom, and we have Ms. Norden on the Zoom. Our treatment team, Autumn Irvine, the clinical supervisor. And our treatment counselors, Terry Buckner, Lori Mize, and Tony Bartlett. As we often hear during people's speeches, we know that we also could not do this work without our program assistant, Danny Duell. And our office assistants, Darcy LaChapelle and Jason Foreman. And really, it takes each one of us who are part of the drug court program and team to make things work. So now I am going to invite forward Terry Buckner, who is going to introduce our first graduate.
Let's see here. This young man, he entered our program via the CDP program. CDP provided him the best opportunity to be more successful for his program. Once he was done with CDP, he was more proactive, more open-minded, eager, and he had a willingness to make many changes in his life. All those things were needed for him to continue a healthy program of recovery. And he has a bright and encouraging life awaiting him. With that, I'm very proud to introduce Mr. Michael Stephen Cave.
Yeah, rather.
Now what? Read my speech? All right. Speech. All right. My life before drug court was dysfunctional and unmanageable. Every day was the same: drug use, deceit, and self-centeredness. I spent the last 20 years getting high, committing crimes, and then going to prison. Because of my drug use and lifestyle choice, I've spent 8 of the last 20 years in prison. I had spent a year in jail fighting a case in another county before entering the drug court program. I started out the program in Thurston County Jail Chemical Dependency Program. Without that program and its structured transition back into the community, I would not have been able to gain the footing of a solid foundation to build upon. In phase 1 of the program, what really stuck out to me was the information I learned in cognitive self-change and how my negative thinking was connected to my drug use and criminal mentality. In phase 2 of the program, in phase 2 of the drug court program, my seeking safety class opened my eyes to how PTSD and drug abuse go hand in hand, and I learned solid tools on how to properly handle my PTSD and other self-sabotaging behaviors. In phase 3 of the program, in my relapse prevention workbook, I learned how to identify high-risk situations and how to stop relapse early on. I think the most beneficial part of the program for me was working the MRT workbook in the chemical dependency program, and not just working it, but honestly working it. It made me take a hard look at who I really am and how truly distorted my belief system was. I was able to watch myself grow. As I climbed the freedom ladder, the further I climbed, the better I felt about the man I was becoming. The more it fueled my desire for change in my life. Since entering the drug court program, everything about who I am and what I believe I can accomplish in my life has changed. In the last 14 months, I have kept the same job and built an amazing support network at Genothan. I got my license back. I completed a 52-week domestic violence program. I graduated commercial driver school, earned my commercial driver's license. I saved money and I filed for bankruptcy. For me, learning how to set and keep boundaries has been a big part of my success. If you don't have a clean date, you do not have a place in my life, period. My plan after drug court is to keep doing what I'm doing, stay engaged with my recovery and my support group, keep setting and working towards my goals with my career and my relationship with my daughter, never forgetting where I came from, how far I've come, and most importantly, where I'm going. I want to give thanks to Sabrina Craig for believing in me and giving me this opportunity for change. The prosecutor, Brian Gerhardt, for allowing this all to happen, and Brian Gerhardt for always advocating for me and answering all my phone calls. I've never met an attorney like you. You really care and it shows. Thank you. Kim Robbins for allowing me to UA after work to keep moving forward in my career. I want to thank Terry Buckner, my counselor. I couldn't have done it without you. You have no idea the way you have helped me lift up. I don't know. You have no idea the weight you have helped me lift off my chest. Autumn, Lori, and Tony for always being there to listen and give positive, honest feedback. Darcy and Jason, thank you for being such a positive energy in the drug court building. I want to give a special thanks to my sponsor, my mentor, and my friend, Robert Mitchell, always being there for me every day to listen to me and share his experience, strength, and hope with me. To my true friend, Chuck Milanich, for believing in me and encouraging me. Tim Morgan, my friend and boss, who is a daily reminder to me of the change this program can do for someone's life if you allow it. And Sarah Morris, who I've never met, but she believed in me and gave me the opportunity to pursue my commercial driver's license. And last but not least, Judge Schaller for always being fair and believing in me. Thank you.
So Sabrina's gonna come over.
So when our participants leave our program, we like to give them a little parting gift. And this gift is the normal, ordinary, responsible person mug, which you are. And inside of the mug is your little bag with your little rock, a penny, and a couple of marbles, and a little poem that reads, "When the world feels like it makes no sense and you feel like you're losing your marbles, grab your stone from within and start your day all over again." Congratulations.
Michael Cabe, 367 days, clean and sober. Next, I am going to invite Tony forward to introduce our next graduate. Mr. Hickman.
I actually have the honor of having the next two graduates up. So, Mr. Luca, when I first came here from Pierce County Drug Court, it was just after the building had opened back up after quarantine. And I didn't have the pleasure of meeting Mr. Luca for a couple of weeks because he was in quarantine. But I did have the seeking safety class, and he was on a little laptop in the back. And whenever he spoke, it was pretty profound stuff, and it was obvious that he did the work, and a lot of introspect went into the work that he did. And along the way, since I've been his counselor, he has did tons of work. He's did his last treatment plan. He was doing 2 MRT books at the same time. Every Friday he would show up for his one-on-one on his day off and have the work done. And it just wasn't cheap work. It was well done. A lot of thought went into it. And, as your counselor, I appreciated the quality of that work. It was, there was volumes of it, but as I sit here today, I am 100% certain that you have the tools to stay clean. And that's what I told you when I came over there and talked to you. And it's like, you got the tools. Now you have a choice, and everything gets real tomorrow. But you've done the work. You have a new life today. And like I always say, you don't have to get your misery refunded. So, stay on track, and beautiful life for you and your son. A lot of our conversations have been about his son and his desire to get back there and be the parent that he knows that he can be. So, it even chokes me up a little bit. It's really good to see you at the end of the road, so I'm excited for you. I'm excited about International Bacon Day. It's a holiday I can finally get behind. But you've done the work, and I congratulate you, and it's been a pleasure to work with you, Keith.
Go ahead and come on down, Mr. Luca.
Hello. Welcome to drug court graduation. As most of you may know, my name is Keith Luca. I'd like to start by saying that before starting the Thurston County Drug Court program, I was an entirely different person. I was spending literally every day driving around in a stolen Honda, selling meth and heroin, and also heavily using both. I remember that I used to wake up crying every morning, wishing I hadn't survived the night before. I had not seen my son, Caden, for a couple years, and I thought that I never would again. I was an absolutely hopeless mess, lost and broken inside. It would appear, however, that life had a plan for me yet. Luckily, I got arrested. While I was in jail, I was offered a deal for CDP drug court. I was tentative at first about taking a treatment deal in lieu of a prison sentence, because after all, going to prison was the only thing I was ever good at. After spending a few weeks talking it over with my girlfriend, who I want to take the time to thank for convincing me, I made up my mind to do it. The beginning of my journey truly started at my drug court intake interview with Sabrina, who I want to thank for somehow bringing out a sincerity in me that I didn't know I possessed, which somehow helped to drive me forward from that day on. Anyway, I started CDP, which went well, and I want to thank counselors Jamie and Chelsea and officers Fitzpatrick and Holton for helping me get motivated, moving in the right direction, and helping me build some self-esteem, henceforth pushing me down the path towards success. The second part of my journey really started when I was released from work release, where I was lucky enough to find a job working at Jack in the Box, which I am proud to say that I still have, making it the longest legal job I ever held down. At this point, I'd like to stop to thank a great many people who deserve my gratitude. So here goes. Thank you, Michael, Kayla, and Tony, who have been all my counselors through drug court, have given me guidance, strength, and hope. Thank you, Josh, for guiding me through MRT. Thank you, Terry and Tony, for keeping me safe and teaching me many healthy ways to cope and seeking safety. Thank you, Jason, for staying consistent and cheerful and always answering my annoying and repetitive questions. Thank you, Darcy, for being super happy to help me all the time and for good advice. Thank you, Kim, for being a good-hearted, awesome person. And Autumn for seeing things from both sides of the fence and for being kind and caring. Also, Lori for being funny, helpful, and very down to earth. Thank you, Amanda Chick and Teresa Nesbitt for helping me pay my rent for like 6 months until I got on my feet. And last but not least, thank you, Judge Schauer, for always being fair in your judgments and for taking the time to genuinely care about us each as individuals, which made me feel important and kept me coming back to court even when I was nervous about the outcome. I'd like to wrap this speech up with saying this program has made me honest, accountable, sincere, caring, feel like I'm somebody, helped me get my son back, helped me identify and address, then begin healing from many underlying behavioral issues that led to my drug use in the first place, has taught me how to be happy, healthy, and a productive member of our society, and given me many future goals to look forward to, such as being a good father and finishing raising my son. But most of all, drug court taught me that I am worth it, and with a little effort, I can have a good life. Thank you.
Great job. I want to give you a cup. Congratulations.
Keith Luca, 434 days in the program. Back up here to introduce our next graduate.
All right. Brandon, it's been a pleasure to work with you. You've been on point since the day that I've gotten here. You've done a ton of work. You're always on time. You're like clockwork. Never forget the one day that you got busy at work and you were a half hour late. And you were like, ah! And, I think you were probably the one that had the one sanction.
I know.
And then he was in my office like 5 minutes later and we had our one-on-one anyway. But he's been on point. He's done the work. He's a very structured individual who's come a long ways. And, he's really starting to see the gifts of recovery. And just in the last couple of weeks, he's been talking about getting a dog. He's been wanting a dog for so long. And when he talked about, when I said, so did you get the dog, to watch him light up? It was like a kid on Christmas, but it's just really good to see the lights come on and see the real Brandon come back, because you've told me stories of what it was like and what it's like today. And you're a whole different young man. You're going to do great things if you stay the course. I want to introduce Brandon Hochrein.
Hi, everyone. Okay. Excuse me if I choke up. This is going to be rough. I already know. Well, I'm Brandon. Hi, everybody. Okay. All right. When I came into the drug court program, I was lost and confused. I really didn't care if I was going to come close to death with my next hit of heroin, nor did I really care about living either. All I really cared about was my addiction. Okay. I can't really say I cared about myself really because I'd rather feed my addiction before I fed myself. My addiction always came first. During my addiction, I was a complete mess. I couldn't seem to stay out of the jail system. I was always on the run. I always ran away from my problems. I ran away from my family's love. I ran away from any passion I've ever had. I ran away from my true self. I lost myself completely. It literally took the life out of me. I've overdosed a few times, but never died. I've gotten in car accidents, but always walked away. I've had many friends that died as well, but it never really fazed me. I was lifeless. These last 7 years were just a blur to me. I know nothing good really came from it, just lies, heartbreak, and destruction. On January 8th, 2018, I was arrested by Officer Malone on a previous warrant, and along with a couple new felony charges to add on top of it. I was offered 88 months or to graduate the drug court program. I heard how hard the program was, but I knew that deep in me that I really wanted to change, and I was willing to do what it takes to make that change. In the beginning of the program, I had a bit of a rocky start. I had a few relapses and was having trouble adjusting to the new schedule. Eventually, my relapses got to the point where the counselors could not handle me, so they sent me to an inpatient treatment in Yakima. I loved it. When I came back, I was finally off to a good start. During phase 1, I learned about honesty because I seem to have forgotten all about the importance of honesty and the trust between one another. In phase 2, I learned about relationships, morals, and realistic long-term and short-term goals and structure. In phase 3, I learned how to deal with my triggers, realistic situations that may trigger me, and what to do to avoid those triggers. Phase 3 was the most helpful for me because if you are completely open and honest in that workbook, it will hit your true triggers situations from all angles. I truly feel confident after that book. One major thing that I soon learned was that you have to go at your own pace. This is not something you can rush. Trust me, I learned it the hard way. If you find yourself struggling and feel like you're stuck, I have the perfect answer for that. The answer is simple. Just slow down. Slow down and try harder. Put more effort. Drug court has helped me build a strong structure, become accountable, become trustworthy, and most important of all, become honest. I have learned how to be pushed, to pick my battles instead of always arguing my point, to count to 10 when I'm upset, and not to give up because things are getting hard. I really don't think I would have been able to make it this far if it wasn't for my first counselor, Michael. Michael knew how to pick my brain apart and could tell me when something was wrong. You would truly feel that he would genuinely care about everything you had to say. So I know you're not here today, but I'd like to thank you anyways. You were a major help in my recovery, and I still use the tools you gave me. For any new participants listening, just be lucky that you never got to be on Michael's bad side. I'd also like to thank Kayla, one of my other counselors. I was able to open up to Kayla about stuff I've never really opened up with anybody else about. I could honestly say Kayla as a counselor was a bit awkward and quiet at times over Zoom, but but eventually I opened up and learned to really trust her. Thank you, Tony, my last counselor. I got Tony as my counselor during the end of my phase 3. We hadn't really gotten to spend much time together, but I'm grateful for everything that you've done for me. You have kept me on my toes with my AA and NA meetings and really have been an encouragement to my recovery. You helped me work on things that I needed to work on and always backed me up when I needed advice. Thank you for everything that you've done in the brief time that we've had together. Thank you, Terry, for always being charming and never really looking upset when the class got loud. Your sarcasms and jokes can really break the ice in a tense room sometimes. You also have a real clever way with words and really know how to inspire us with a group lecture. Thank you for everything. Thank you, Autumn, for always holding me accountable and believing in me. You always made me understand that I can't wasn't an option and always motivated me to get things done. Thank you, Lori, for dealing with all of us in phase 3. You've helped us prepare for graduation and the world afterwards, and ensured that we do every project the right way before presenting it in court. I'd like to thank Sabrina for interviewing me for my drug court assessment. I remember our first interview, I cried at it, and you looked at the correction officer and said, "Yep, this man needs treatment." Thank you so much. I would not be here if it wasn't for you. Thank you to the defense attorneys for everything that you do and being really good at it. I could only imagine what you guys had to go through to brainstorm what to tell the judge during my sanctions. Without you guys, I'm pretty sure I'd make a fool of myself if I had to speak alone every time I've gotten a sanction. It was always learning. It was always a learning lesson every time one of you guys spoke. I am very grateful for having you guys. Judge Schaller, thank you so much for genuinely caring for us participants. After every court hearing, whether it was good or bad, you always found a way to touch us with something encouraging, even when we felt like we were just at a slump. Court was always one of my favorite things to go to because talking with you always felt a good connection with. So thank you for everything that you've done. Finally, my family. Oh, I can get through this. Sorry, guys. First off, I'd like to say thank you to my dad. Thank you, Dad, for always helping me when I needed it. Thank you for giving me a roof to live under for so long. And always dealing with me when I got myself into trouble. Thank you for keeping me responsible and teaching me right from wrong. I know I made a lot of mistakes in the past, but from here on, I'll be fine. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan, my little brother, and Diana. Thank you for always wanting the best for me, even when we grew distant when I was using. Thank you for always helping me when I was struggling and being by my side through this. You guys have always made me feel welcome and never judged me by my past. So thank you. And my wonderful mother. Thank you for always being there for me through everything. You're the strongest woman I know. We have been through everything together and you are always so strong. Sometimes I couldn't believe how you could do it. I'm so thankful to have you in my life. Thank you for always being there for me, believing me and trusting in me. And thank you for always giving me rides whenever I needed to be at drug court or something. You always knew how important it was and were always there when I needed to be somewhere important. So thank you so much. All right. This program is designed to push you to your limits, to see how you react under pressure, to use the tools you learned in treatment. My best piece of advice that I can give to my fellow peers in drug court is do not let anybody label you. Don't be just a recovering addict. Be more than that. Figure out who you want to be and define yourself. Don't be ashamed of your past. Use it. Remember where you came from and use it to help others. Everyone has potential and anyone can change if they want it. My real journey starts now that I leave drug court. It is easier to live a life when you are told what to do, when you have someone constantly holding you accountable for every mistake that you make. The true test starts now. To my fellow graduates, our lives are now ours. Be proud of all that you have accomplished and don't settle for anything less than what you deserve. Keep doing what you've been doing to bring yourself to the point you are at now and continue to set goals and reach them. Don't let drug graduation be your last accomplishment. Be yourself to achieve more It doesn't matter where we are, where we have been or where we are now, but where we are going. That was a struggle.
You did great.
Thank you.
And then Spree's gonna come forward.
I'm gonna come forward.
Brandon Hochrein, 383 days, King's Silver. Now it is time for the presentation of the Hope coins, and this time Mr. Abid will be presenting them on behalf of the prosecutor's office.
So at the prosecuting attorney's office as a group, we all believe in the hope theory. Hope is what keeps us alive and allows us to strive to promote equity, justice in the criminal and fairness in the criminal justice system. As Alexander Pope once said a long time ago, hope springs eternal. We as humans don't give up. You did not give up. And hope is defined as a perceived ability to produce pathways to achieve desired goals and motivate oneself to use those pathways. In my opinion, all three of you and all the other drug court participants in the program, they're all inherently hopeful people. You chose drug court to find and create those pathways to change your life. With your only your hard work, commitment, resilience, you have succeeded. So today I will present to you these coins on behalf of my office. Those will be as a reminder to you that going forward in your life, any other challenges that come upon you, you will apply same principles that you used in drug court program. You will create pathways and achieve your desired goals, whatever they may be. So with that, to each of you, I give you these. Michael K., thank you for your hard work. Keith Luca, much appreciated. Brandon Hochrein, how's your stock portfolio doing?
All right, so now I am going to invite the prosecutors to provide statements to the graduates. I'm actually going to start with Ms. Hewitson today, so she's up there on the screen. Ms. Hewitson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, this afternoon I have some comments for Mr. Cabe. Mr. Cabe, you to me, sir, are the true example of kind of a quiet professional. Just the fact that you finished this program as quickly as you did, oh, and by the way, there was a pandemic happening, is just a testament to, I would say, your solid work ethic. You are someone who has shown up to court very diligently, always has something very thoughtful to say, and you've really stood out to me as that quiet leader to the group. I think we have in drug court those people who their personalities just kind of shine and overtake, and they're definitely the extroverts of the group. But I always appreciate those individuals who put the work in, who are very thoughtful with their responses to the court, and you can see are just taking those necessary steps and really working on themselves. And so I really think it was commendable that you were in phase 2 when we had that pandemic. And I will say, I always check my inbox to review past participants to see just how many emails I have received, and all of yours are your attorney, Mr. Gerhardt, just diligently working on your behalf, because you were one of those first people that we made that exception for EHM. And I can say that your fellow participants have you to thank for that allowance to have continued, because had you not been successful, had you not paid your fees, had you not followed the rules, had you not checked it with housing, we would have made different recommendations moving forward that would have greatly impacted others in the program. So I want you to know that your behavior, your just exceptional drug court experience allowed other people to be successful. So that is how I'll always remember you, sir, is that quiet professional who graduated with 367 days clean and sober. It's truly remarkable, and you should be very proud of yourself.
Now, Mr. Abid.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, to Keith, I was a charging DPA in your case, just so you know. I don't know if you remember that. I do. In your case, I struggled on how to resolve that. You had a habit of not showing up to court. Bench warrants were issued. But you had a very good attorney. I have a lot of respect for Mr. Chris Sweby. His advocacy for you was really very strong. Before the drug court was offered to you, that was second time around when you came into custody. In fact, you not failed to appear, but you showed up on a trial date and then you left the court. After that, I was really struggling whether you would be a drug court participant or not. But Mr. Sweby continued to push that direction, and it convinced me at some point when I learned that you wanted to get back to your children or a child in your life, that was the pathway that was created for you, and then you were given this opportunity. And I'm so glad that that happened, and then we gave you that opportunity. And you did it. You wanted to rebuild your relationship with your child, and then you have. Your hard work has paid off, so we appreciate it, and I wish you the best of luck going forward. Brandon, you struggled early on. Your first sanction, I remember, was in September of 2019, but then had several more after that. Many times I struggled recommending your sentence or sanction, but that was the part of the accountability. But I always appreciated that you accepted that with full faith and took the responsibility, and then continued to stay strong in the program and did a lot of hard work. So I know that you have keen interest in finance and stock market and all that. So I am very hopeful and in fact confident that you will have a strong future in all the endeavors, in all aspects of your life. So,
I now invite, before I invite Mr. Gerhardt to make statements today, I did want to indicate that when I was doing introductions, I didn't see this individual, and now that I see he is in the Zoom, and that is also the other defense lawyer who is assigned to drug court, and that is Luke Swinney. So I'll now invite Mr. Gerhart forward to make his comments.
Okay, Michael. I did not know you when you entered drug court because you started in CDP and the CDP reviews were not done on my day. And then we roll around to May and I pick up a phone call and it's you and I am trapped. I think for like 2 or 3 weeks, you called 4 or 5 times a day trying to figure out when you'd be able to continue moving forward, get out of work release, which was shut down. And I don't know what you did over there. Did you put up some kind of flyer that said call Brian? Because as soon as you called, talk to me, everyone else did too. But I finally met you when we got approval from Ms. Hewitson to have you transition out as one of our first people, given the world we're living in, to go to EHM, which is not normally how CDP works. And I drove over to Jonathan and you signed the paperwork, and that was the first time I met you in person. And to be honest, sometimes when people call a defense attorney and they're so excited about getting out, there's kind of a red flag about why do they want to get out so bad? It looks like they want to kind of maybe not make the right choice. But when I met you, I could see that you were totally committed to just moving forward. You didn't want to be stagnant. And that's why you were so eager to get out. And once you got out on EHM, my work was done. I got to sit there in the chair, watch you come in and report all the progress you had made, which was substantial and quick. May seems like last week, but also 10 years ago. But what you've done in 7 months since being released from custody is remarkable. It just is truly remarkable. And other people see it too. I know there's a lot of other people in this program, some people who still work at Jonathan, who look up to you. I know Mr. Mitchell saw it when he asked you to be a house manager. So people are noticing you, and you, as Ms. Hewitson said, are one of those quiet leaders. And so I'm really confident in how stable you are and how your life is going to look going forward. I know there's still some hard things upcoming, but you're willing to do the hard work and make hard choices to keep your recovery going forward. So congratulations, Michael. Okay, Keith, so I think you really get this program. What sticks out to me is last week when you were in court for your final court review and Judge Schaller gave you that opportunity to address the other participants. And what struck me was what you said. You turned around and you said, you know, when I entered this program, I was living in my car, making bad choices, didn't care about life. And look at me now. You have a job, a place to live, better relationships, support system. I mean, I know we can't do it anymore, but if you could look at your booking photograph, that could be in a dictionary under the definition of rock bottom. It's, I don't know, it might have my vote for one of the hardest to look at. But you said, look at me now. And you asked a question to the other participants. Look at it as, what do you want? What do you want from this program? It's not about rushing through it, just saying the right things, going through the motions, and not internalizing it. It really comes down to what's your purpose in this program? And I think you have one. I think you know what that is. And so to me, you've internalized what's being taught here. You're not just parroting back information. You're not just going through the motions. Now, the real test starts today when you walk out of this courtroom, and I assume your cases will be dismissed. You're not required to come to the drug court building anymore, although I hope you continue to do that. That's when it starts, okay? So consider that day one of the rest of your life. And I hope that we continue to see you around, and just think how far you have come, because it would be all too easy to throw that away, and I hope you don't do that. I'm pretty confident that you won't. Congratulations. Okay, Brandon, this is an interesting one for me. So I kind of get to see the bookends here because you may not remember this given your state of mind, but I was your attorney before drug court. It's me and Larry. You had 2 cases, and you were right. You were not doing so hot before you joined the program. You were just an empty, lost young man, and you were looking at a lot of time. And the case was terrible, to be honest. We talked about drug court, and you made the right choice and decided to join the program. And then I got to be your drug court attorney for the first few months, 3, 4, 5 months. And you were definitely not the person with 1 sanction. I remember each and every one of them. I think there was a warrant thrown in there. It was, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. It was bad. It was not a good start. And I was like, oh boy, what's going to happen here? But interestingly, you went to inpatient, you came back, and then you weren't in my session anymore. So I didn't get to see really the middle section of your drug court program. I did every now and then look at the progress notes and make sure you were staying on track, but I wasn't in court with you every week or every other week. And then I get to see you today. So it's like that thing where you don't see someone regularly for a long time and you can't believe how much they've changed. You have changed so much since I met you in a jail visiting room 2+ years ago. And I guess this is a big deal for you to be sitting here. This is huge. But I should tell you, I appreciate this. Thank you. Because after doing this job so long, I've seen so many young men in their 20s give up on themselves or throw up their hands when it gets too hard. And I was afraid at first that you were going to be one of those statistics. So thank you for reminding me that it's not always hopeless, that no matter who you are, no matter what age you are, you can do this, and you've done it. Congratulations, Brandon.
All right, so now it is time for me to make my comments. And when I address each of you, I always start out the same way and just talk about kind of the procedural history of your time in drug courts, and then just some of my thoughts of you and your participation in the program. So I'm gonna start with Mr. Cabe, and it's already been said by Mr. Cabe, you started out in the CDP program, and you completed phase 1 of the CDP program really close in time to the pandemic hitting and us shutting down. And so normally I get to know CDP participants in phase 2 because they start coming to court, and I see them every other week for the court reviews. And that was really interrupted in our process. So I feel like I actually got to know you once you were done with CDP and started coming to court for our court reviews. You were the person who's up here who has no sanctions for your entire time in the program. And you have, after you finished CDP, you have moved smoothly through the drug court program, and not because anyone has felt like you were rushing to get done or to, win the race, but truly because you were making your goals, you were achieving them, and really internalizing things as you went along. I was struck by the quote that you chose for graduation. Each of our graduates are asked to choose a quote that's relatively new, and we actually started that after someone who graduated in 2019 had such a profound thing to say. And we made her quote an ongoing quote for drug court, that we asked our graduates to pick things that either reflected their time in drug court or things that inspire them. And Mr. Cabe, your quote is by someone, it said unknown, is, "I refuse to live behind excuses. If your past was tough, work to make your future better. Do not repeat the same mistakes, whether they are yours or someone else's." And when I hear that quote, I think about someone who really understands responsibility, not excuses, but taking responsibility in life. And that's how you have approached your time in this program. When you were in CDP, of course, we did staff you, even though we didn't always see you. And You described in your phase application when you went from phase 1 to phase 2 about the impact that CDP had on you, and you talked about it today in your speech as well. And we could tell in your staffings that you did have like some internal struggles, but that you were moving forward. And every time we staffed you, the treatment team from CDP talked about that you were really insightful and really trying to work towards sustained change. I was also impressed before I met you because you not only did CDP, but you also did the DVOT program as well, which is just another added layer of work and classes that you were required to do. Where people land in the community when they come out of incarceration can make a big difference for them. And you are one of those people who have been really, really blessed. And you talked about that in your speech today too, which I really, really appreciated. You are in a clean and sober house with someone who has been instrumental, it has seemed, in your recovery, who's here today. You have an employer who employs several people from our drug court program in the past and currently, who are incredibly supportive of you and your recovery and being flexible when you need that as well. And all of that has helped you build a really strong foundation for yourself and for your sober support going forward. I see you as a man who always follows through on what he says he's going to do. You set goals and you accomplish them. You are really hardworking and you are a devoted father. And you have always been, since the first time that I met you and talked about your daughter, you have been devoted to do what is best for her, even when it didn't always feel like it was the best thing for you. In your graduation application, you said that you were ready to graduate because, and these are your words, I'm a new creation. I now have integrity. I have goals. I am a good person, a good friend, and a good employee. And most importantly, I like who I am. I've accomplished more in the last year than I have in most of my life. I will tell you, that was your description of yourself, and that is how we see you as well. Congratulations. Also, before I finish with Mr. Cabe, of course, in drug court, we give out coins when people meet milestones, 30, 60, 90 days, 6 months, 9 months, a year. And then we invite our graduates to come back and receive coins for as long as they want to on other milestones. We know, though, in drug court that the time that we're reflecting, like a 1-year coin, may not match someone's actual personal time. Their personal time could be longer for a variety of reasons. But today, actually, 2 of our graduates are getting coins. And so when I'm done today, Mr. Cave, I will step down and give you your 1-year coin, because I did, when we called you forward today, I'm sorry, I called out 300, there it is, 360 days clean and sober. So today you will get your 1-year coin. And I really invite you, and I invite all of you, please come back. Please ask us to give you your coins on your real clean time every time you reach a milestone. So congratulations on this as well. Mr. Luca, you also entered the CDP program, and you entered in August of 2019. You had to actually wait about a month, I think, from the time that we signed the orders until you were actually able to start the program, because at that time there was a wait list. And you completed the CDP program a month before the shutdown. And when we have talked about this with the impact of the shutdown on all of our participants, one of actually the things we talked about was that we were really glad that we had a month with you at least before the shutdown happened, and that you had that ability to have that solid transition from one program to the next. You are the person who has only had 1 sanction while you have been in the program, and that was for a missed treatment session. That was back in July. Other than that, you went through the entire program with no sanctions. The reports that we received from CDP, because of course we staffed you the entire time, even before we did court reviews, were uniformly positive about you, your treatment, and your attitude, that you had a really good attitude. Basically, every report talked about your active participation and talked about the fact that you had really good insights into yourself, but not just for yourself, but for other people that were in the program as well. When you transitioned to work release and started coming to court, probably one of the very first things that you talked about was your son. You talked about that today in graduation as well. And you talk about him every single time that you come to court. And one of the things that I think about when I think of you and being in court and talking about him is when we really see you light up, when we see that just sparkle in your eye, it's when you talk about your son and your time with your son and how you're moving forward and going to move and have him live with you and all of those things. And it's really a beautiful thing to see and to watch as you have moved through the program. You are an incredible writer. It's, I think, a real gift that you have. You express yourself so well in the written word. Last month at our drug court graduation, I highlighted the issue of gratitude. And I read some different things that our participants had submitted about what they were grateful for. And I actually you wrote a whole paragraph, and I read the entire thing at that graduation because I was so struck by it. And I'm going to read a little bit of what you wrote. And the question was, we asked participants to say what they were grateful for. I just want to say that I am grateful to be sober, to have my family back in my life, to be around my son every day. I am blessed to have a second chance at life and to be sober enough to feel the love given to me by my friends and family. I'm eternally grateful to have my mind back from all the toxic chemicals that used to possess it. And I'm just happy to enjoy the day-to-day grind of normal life. That was one of my favorite things that you wrote in there, because sometimes that is exactly what life is. It can be a day-to-day grind. And the fact that you can see the joy and the happiness in that and just loving every day for what it is speaks volumes about where you are and how much you've changed. In your graduation application, which also I would say it was the longest application that I've ever had submitted. But I will tell you that it made a difference, because when we talked about you and we talked about you graduating, I ultimately said that I don't have any question about you graduating after I read your application, because you absolutely, you know where you were at and you know where you were going. And again, your written word is just you're very good at expressing yourself in your written word. In your application, you said, I have learned to respect myself and others. I have become the parent I always should have been. I have learned what it is like to be a role model. I've acquired work ethics and responsibility. And I'm gonna stop there for a moment, because you've talked about that all along in your court reviews, and you said in your speech today. I mean, you have had sustained employment at the same place where you are appreciated, and you haven't had that for most of your life. And that has been super impressive. But you also said, I live an honest, happy, healthy, and sober life. Yet, with all of these things, I still understand that my journey is just getting started. And that's right. This is the next part of your journey. It's such an exciting time for you. Congratulations. Okay. So you obviously, by process of elimination, are the one who had the 12 sanctions. But when I was looking through the file, it's grouped. You have a whole bunch of sanctions, like Mr. Gearhart was talking about, in your first 2 months in the program, because everyone has a different journey in the program, and you struggled with not using. And no one was surprised, because that happens. And then you went to inpatient treatment, and that made a big difference. Now, it wasn't smooth sailing from there, but after you came back, there was a huge shift in you, and you were actually able to engage in the program since you were now clean and sober. Then you had some other sanctions over the next 6 months, from June to December. That's December 2019. In the last year, you've basically been sanction free. The one incident that Tony talked about where you relate to treatment, but other than that, for a year, you have been sanction free. But what was remarkable to me was not the number of sanctions that you had. It was that when I read the file, I was surprised, because that's not how I see you, or how I see or remember your participation in the program. And that certainly is not who you are today. When I think of you and your time in the program, I think of a young man who has grown and matured greatly in the program. You are super smart. You have goals for yourself, and you work about accomplishing your goals. Also, I think it was Mr. Abid said this, but I reflect that although you had a lot of sanctions, you always took responsibility. You were not someone who got up there and made a bunch of excuses and tried to backpedal. You accepted when you didn't make a good choice. You took your sanction and you moved forward. And that is a really important thing in life. Over the last year, you have been super engaged in the program and done an amazing job. You have survived COVID. You have had a job change, and that has seemed to be something that's been really positive for you as well. You indicated that you were ready to graduate because you stated, I know I can do this without having to do it for drug court. I want to continue this lifestyle and do it for myself. When I was listening to your speech today, to me, that's what your speech was all about too, that you have learned what you need to know in this program. And although having the program is important to help people on the journey without accountability, you're ready now to go forward without the accountability, and you yourself will hold yourself accountable. You also have a great support system, a lot of people who are here today, and you're really fortunate to have that as well. And you not only said that in your speech, but you've regularly recognized your family and how much they help you and support you along the way when we would see you regularly in court. So take this strong mindset with you, that mindset that you're ready to live this life for yourself, because we all know that you can do it and that you will accomplish great things. And also you can do anything that you set your mind to. Congratulations. And for Mr. Hokrine also, when I called him forward today, I called 383 days clean and sober. And so today I also have your 1-year coin as well that I'll present to you after we're done with the ceremony. So congratulations on that. So I'm now going to ask Terry to come forward with the trees.
Well, I'm going to do it this way today. I am Mr. Kate. This is another tradition of drug court. It was started many years ago by Mr. Paul Graves. He was a forester by trade, and it was his way of recognizing the graduates of drug court. What you have are noble fir seedlings, approximately 18 months in maturity, plus or minus about the time that you've been in the program. What is suggested is you find a place, a good place of your choosing to go and plant your tree. And at first, you won't really notice any growth in the tree, but as time goes on, you'll notice the tree mature, the tree grows, such as yourself as you are growing in this new lifestyle of yours. The tree grows in higher elevations. It's used to harshness. And when you're having those rough days, you can go out, have a seat by your tree and vent with your tree. Trees, Mother Nature's way of scrubbing the air. So there's a place that you can go to and to do whatever you need. Talk to your tree, vent, or have a place to go to. You've done a lot of hard work in this program, and I'm very proud of all three of you. And as with, it was mentioned earlier, today is the beginning, a new beginning for all three of you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Mr. Abid, do you have any motions for the court?
Yes, Your Honor, I do. In the state of Washington, Michael Stephen Cabe, cause numbers 18-101499-34, 18-102242-34, 18-102243-34. The state moves to dismiss with prejudice based on his full completion of drug court.
The court grants the motion in all three cases, and I am signing the orders of dismissal. Congratulations.
State moves to dismiss with prejudice. State of Washington v. Keith Luca, cause number 18-101967-34 and cause number 19-10054-34 based on his completion of drug court.
I will grant the state's motion in both cases, and I am signing the orders of dismissal. Congratulations.
In the state of Washington v. Brandon James Hochrein, cause numbers 19-100-287-34 and 18-100-582-34. State moves to dismiss with prejudice based on his completion of drug court.
I will grant the state's motion in both cases, and I am signing the orders of dismissal. Congratulations. That will conclude our graduation ceremony, our new beginnings ceremony. Congratulations again to each of you, and court is adjourned. So,